Okay, so we are here and we are going to be playing Cotton 100%. If you don't know what this game is, that is a shame because Cotton is kind of an underrated franchise that more people should know about. We're going to be bombarded with some classical music here in a second. Uh, this is a cute 'em up, a cute shoot 'em up. We are specifically playing the PS1 port of this game. The original one came out in 1994, and this is a port that was made in 2003 or something. That's really important for the run. There are pretty big differences in the mechanics of how things function. We're going to be playing on hard mode today. When you're speedrunning this game, you can set your stock, your number of lives, to whatever you want. I'm going to be pretty risky and set it to 2. That may backfire on me if I am caught up in the moment of the exhibition here and explaining the game to you guys. I might make mistakes and run into things, and if I do, well, I might not be able to finish the game, and that's just the way it goes. But we're going to do our best anyway. So I'm setting it to 2. I've got a pretty important reason for doing so. We're going to set fade mode to off. That doesn't really matter. It's just like when it goes into screensaver mode, don't worry about it. Visual is also going to off. That are the cute anime cutscenes that show up between scenes. There are cute anime cutscenes, but we don't get to see them. I'm sorry. If you want to see them, you'll have to play this game for yourself. There's a little incentive for you. So we're ready to go. We're going to start, and we get to come to this screen where we get to select our spells that we'll get to use during the game. This is relevant to the run as long as like my player preference is to use the fire dragon 100% of the time, so 1 or 4 is what I'm going to go with. The other thing that's relevant here, though, is that this also affects the orientation that your fairies behind you hang out, and your fairies are sort of like secondary firepower. So you can see that the alternate thing it's showing you is different orientations that they'll hang out behind you. So choose whatever thing looks the coolest to you. I'm going to go with the 4th one, and we're going to start when I select this. So Dave is ready. It's going to be in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so Cotton is a witch. She is good at 2 things. That's riding a broom and annihilating everything in her path. So the whole premise of this game is that Cotton really wants some candy, and she is going to stop at nothing to get that candy. Candy is called Willow, and that's about it. That's the narrative. This fairy friend that is behind her is named Silk, and Silk is telling Cotton that there is all sorts of fancy candies as long as Cotton is willing to help her liberate Fairyland or whatever is going on here. So we're being kind of bamboozled into doing her dirty work for her to get some candy. And that's the whole thing. That's what's going on. Here's our first mini-boss. Every stage is going to have a boss and a mini-boss, and we just blast that thing right out of the sky and carry on with our business. You'll notice that this game is on rails. We're basically moving at a set speed at all times. Even if you die, the camera still scrolls to the right. Which I think is probably a big deterrent for a lot of people in terms of speedrunning this game. However, it's not an auto-scroller in the sense like it's not like the things you're doing here are irrelevant, because every shot impacts what's going on for the boss fights, which are the portions of the game where you can actually be fast. You saw that my quick kill on that mini-boss was very fast. If we decided to try and fight him normally, we would have been there for, I don't know, 45 seconds. So the main thing that's going on in the routing is using magic to destroy the bosses as quickly as possible. My magic counter is in the bottom middle of the screen, and you can see I've got 3 right now, and that is not a high number. In fact, it's not high enough to get me where I need to be. At some point or other, I am probably going to take an intentional death to reset that, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, here's the pumpkin thing. We destroyed it. Don't worry about it. I'm sure it deserved it. And we're moving on. That's the end of stage 1. We get rewarded with a tea party at the end of every stage. The tea slowly drops on us, and that's how you enjoy tea. I am avoiding most of this tea except one, optimally, because I don't want the points. I want my lives to stay pretty low, so there's our 1 tea. If you successfully avoid all the tea, it gives you a lot of points, which will amount to getting extra lives. We don't want that, so at least I don't want that. Moving on to stage 2. We're introduced to these happy clouds. You can blast them right out of the sky. So, how this game functions is every enemy you destroy is giving you a little bit of experience. It's sort of pseudo-RPG-ish in that you're leveling up your attack bar. They also drop crystals that you can pick up for experience points. They'll either be yellow or red. The red ones are worth a bit more. You can shoot the yellow ones to make them turn into red ones, but if you shoot them like at the wrong time or too aggressively, they just evaporate entirely. So you can't just like juggle them and hope for the best. Another thing that's going on with those crystals is that they are random. Enemy drops are random, so the routing in terms of wanting to pick up crystals to level up my attack faster is always going to be different because I'm not going to get the same experience as I'm playing the game. Here comes this flower thing. Again, it probably had it coming, so we're just going to blast it and get rid of it. This is one of the points where we start to realize that Cotton might not be the hero of the story, because I could have just gone right over the top of that flower. I did not need to destroy it, but it was in our way, so, you know, don't worry about it. Much like all these cute fairies and clouds and fish and eyeball things, we're just gonna take it all out because we need candy. So, the other thing that's going on with the experience gems is that they get in your way. Your shots reflect off of them, and so oftentimes when you're trying to shoot at something, you'll find that you hit one of those gems instead, and it throws off what you're doing, and you have to adapt to it. And so, while it's all well and good to say, well, just play this game the same way every time and it'll be consistent, it just doesn't work in practice at all, because those gem drops are random and they will always be just like things you have to work around. If I end up taking deaths, it's probably because I was trying to pick up some gems between an enemy wave, and I was in a place where I shouldn't have been. An enemy caught me by surprise. Here's Jack Frost, and we're just gonna say goodbye to Michael Keaton real quick. You'll now notice that I am out of magic. I got nothing. So that's relevant because I am going to need to get more soon. There are 2 enemies in the game that statically drop magic. There's one you saw already in stage 1 with that sort of like tanky laser eyeball thing. And so I did pick up 1 magic. That's always going to be there. There is also an enemy that's exclusive to this stage in the middle. It's like a little chimera thing. And he will drop magic every time. He's after the mid-boss of this stage, so we will get 1 magic from this stage every time. So even though I'm at 0 now, it doesn't matter. I can just kind of keep going. But before I get to the halfway point of stage 4, the mid-boss there, I will absolutely want magic because that's okay. It's what I was about to talk about, is that I want to take intentional deaths because the mid-boss of stage 4 takes way too long to attack normally, and you absolutely need to use magic for it to be a viable speedrun. So when I use a continue, it resets my magic to 3, and that's why at the start of the run I set my lives to 2. I'm gonna go ahead and... This is the only point in the game where I actually mash. So, pardon me real quick while I just mash this out real quick. We destroy whatever that thing is. Some kind of turtle guy with spiky hands. Don't worry about it. He probably just had it coming as well. Luckily, that boss is not that bad to deal with just your normal attack power. By the time you get to him, your attack power is reasonably high, and you saw that like the total duration of the attack was, I don't know, 15 seconds maybe. It is faster to use magic, but it's okay if you want to just, you know, mash it out and just do your best. Now there's the other thing, we just got a free random magic drop off of an enemy. Those are also, those are rare, okay? So there's the one that's static that I was talking about, that Chimera guy. Be careful not to get too close to these column things because they can kill you for reasons that don't make any sense. So, enemies can drop magic, but it doesn't happen very often. I would say it is... I don't have statistics on it. Anecdotally, very rare. But you will occasionally get free magic during your run, and if you do, your run is going to be a little bit better. I'm going to be able to get all the way to the mid-boss of stage 4 and use that one magic that I just got now to not have to take my reset until after that. Do not hang out by the bottom of this hill, you will get killed by this environment because of reasons. Okay, so this boss is annoying. It shows up in one of these 3 holes. That was pretty good. Yeah, that was a 2 cycle, that's really fast. If it shows up on the right, it's just automatically going to be slower. Random chance, nothing you can do about it. That was very kind of it to show up in the front where I can get down here and just blast it in the face. And since I'm still at full attack power, I was able to fly through that. Again, if you don't use magic on it, you're looking at, I don't know, a minimum of 5 cycles. It's really slow. Every boss fight is extremely slow without magic. Except for when it's not. Like the mid-boss of stage 3, for whatever reason, has lower health. So right now my routing is that I have to take a death after the middle of this stage. At some point along the way, I might just intentionally bonk into things to go ahead and start working towards that. It's up to my discretion when I do that. And that's what's interesting about the run, is that that part of it is always changing because of the little random chance of maybe getting magic that throws things off. Because if I hadn't got that one free magic early, a couple minutes ago, I would have already been intentionally taking deaths and getting reset. So, yeah. These guys with the arrows are one of the more hazardous things in the game. Because our attack power is so high, we're chewing through everything, but if your attack power isn't at max, they will probably snipe you out of the air. Alright, so here's this tree. Fight takes forever without magic, so we're doing this. Clear them out. So now I need to take 3 deaths to reset to 0, so we're just going to start bonking into things. When you take a death, if you have spare fairies, they will clear the stage. Not super relevant right now, but see, that's what they do. But yeah, you also lose one of your fairy companions every time you take a death. So there's the first continue of the game. The other thing that happens when you take a death is that your attack power goes down. So I am now weaker, and it's harder for me to chew through these enemies. And that is another part of the run that fluctuates the routing. Wherever you... Oh, there's a free magic, so I did not, in fact, have to take those deaths because it just gave me magic. Very generous of the game, but a little too late on that generosity. It's okay, because I will just hold on to that magic for later. So yeah, a lot of what's going on changes from game to game in ways that you wouldn't expect. And it's surprisingly thinky for being, you know, a game about a witch just blasting everything. In terms of comparative to other shoot-'em-ups, I am not good at shoot-'em-ups at all, so I would say this is on the easier range. It's a very accessible game, but yeah, like a lot of my success here is just knowing where things are going to be and doing well this and that. So, we've got 4 magic to deal with this creepy doll girl that's just hanging out in the graveyard. We're just going to blast her in the face real fast. We just do not want to have anything to do with what she's trying to peddle. She's got kind of weird cycle-based things going on here, where I can't do damage to the body until she backs up to the back of the screen and throws her gloves at me. She's challenging me to a duel, I think. Now she's gonna hop somewhere. Her movement here is random, so we gotta kind of like wait for her. It's okay. And then there we go. So yeah, she's got separate hitboxes: the head, the body, the hands, and they go through different phases. So you have to do damage to different parts of them at different times. Fight is absolutely terrible without that one magic. I threw it in a way where I blasted right through her gloves and through the head. Very efficient use. I wish I would have been able to hit the body as well, but the body was invulnerable while the gloves existed, so there's nothing I can do about that. So, here we are. We are moving on. We are about halfway through the game. We are at stage 5. This has, I would say, the least interesting music in the game, least interesting level design. I think this is kind of like the breather moment in the run. You can certainly still bonk into things and die, but, okay, so I'm already doing something I don't want to be doing. Be real careful here. All right. You don't want to come down on top of the archer guys because they have a tendency to just be really good at destroying. The primary environmental hazard here is that lava that shoots up at me, fireballs, and you just need to, you know, pay attention to it. And the other thing that's going to happen a lot are those guys popping in places where you're not expecting them. The enemy locations and movement is static. It's always the same every run. But because your attack power changes based on when you take deaths, you don't always clear through them in the same speed. So sometimes you assume you're going to be able to take a guy out, and you just don't, and you go, well, okay, there goes that. This is another boss that we could just grind out rather than throwing magic at. I'm feeling pretty spicy, so I'm going to go ahead and just throw magic at him. Clear him out pretty fast. Alright, I guess that still wasn't significantly faster than just attacking him normally, but whatever. Yeah. So at this point, I am mostly focusing on trying to rebuild my attack power to full. Don't run into things, because every time I run into something, my attack power will drop back down. And hopefully, I'm able to squeeze a free magic drop off someone like that. That is fantastic. There's another one of those eyeball boys that always gives you magic. There are either 1 or 2 in this stage. It seems like something happens sometimes where one of them despawns. I'm not sure why. This is one of those games that's obscure enough that nobody's really looked into the code of why anything happens. So if you want to be the guy that does that, by all means do so. You can be the one who improves cotton speedrunning for everybody. But see, this time I got 2 of those eyeball boys, which means more magic, which means a faster speedrun. Hang out at the top up here. Be wary of these dudes. They are very tough. See, I just hit him with 3 bombs and he still just took it, so we're just gonna let him go. Here comes the chicken. The timing on this is a bit finicky. Yeah, so I was a bit, like, off. And so you can take it out before it reaches the left side of the screen, but I think I went slightly early, so it didn't take the full amount of damage possible from my magic. But that was okay. I didn't take a death, and we're still sitting on full attack power and 4 magic moving into the 6th of 7 stages. 6th stage is, unfortunately, the worst. It's full of garbage, including these bubbles that, you know, from your perspective, you're just like, okay, yeah, whatever, they're bubbles, but the bubbles, when I bump into them, affect my movement. And so all the time when you're playing this game, you're looking at what you're shooting at, not your character, and all of a sudden your shot will be off because you got bumped to the side by some bubbles. So it is more of a hazard than you'd think. I didn't talk about how there are 2 attacks in this game, 2 standard attacks. We've got our laser power here. The game is very generous in letting you just hold down the button to fire instead of mashing it. I think it is technically faster to mash it, but it's not especially relevant. Like, we don't really need to do that at any point. We also have these bombs that we can drop with the other button. The bombs' arc of fire changes depending on your trajectory, so if I am moving forward, they will fly forward. If I'm pulling back, they will fall back. This mini-boss is the absolute worst. If you come here with no magic, you're going to be here for absolutely minutes. So we're going to expedite it, shoot him with 1 magic, get through the first phase, and shoot him with magic when the second phase starts. He's pushing us back. There's like a water current thing happening, and so we're fighting the current, and then we're also trying to not bunk into those rocks that are floating around. And then he also throws like eggs at us. That was really good. We are sitting on 2 magic. This level is very generous with the laser eye boys. They're all over the place, and they're going to give us plenty of magic. The only thing that could go wrong is if I take a death like right as they are appearing on the screen and I can't clear them out in time, I might not get that magic. So ideally, just don't be bad like that. That's okay. I took 1 death there, but it's not super important. I should have enough time to recharge most of my attack power. Going down 1 is not the worst. I mentioned that this is the PS1 port, and there are significant differences between it and the Super Nintendo original. One of them being that it's a cheap port. It was a budget release, not done by the original company, and it's got some pretty glaring bugs that you might not notice from just like playing the game normally, but as you're speedrunning and you play back and forth between the 2, you realize like there's some real problems with this one. One of them is that if I go to the far left side of the screen, like this, my fairies are no longer attacking for me. That's, you know, a thing that really sucks sometimes. The Super Nintendo version does not do that. Another one is that you have to pick up fairies by touching them in this one, which is not how the Super Nintendo behaves. I miss and you again. This boss has 2 phases. Spins around. The tail is obviously the weak point. It's very hard to target it because the game is, again, throwing a current at you that pushes you in a random direction, and it changes without any, you know, warning that it's going to change. So it's hard to hit a spinning target that spins randomly while you're also being pushed in a random direction. So I burned extra magic there. It's okay. It's not going to be a problem. What it's going to mean is I'm going to have to use another continue at the final boss, which is okay. We're still sitting good. We've only used 1 of those continues, and here we are at the final stage. This one, I think, looks like a lot, and it is a lot, but you just have to be like calm about it and don't rush the front. You hang back. I've reached this stage without having like any attack power to deal with anything, and yeah, if you get here after taking a bunch of deaths, your attack power is absolute garbage and you can't destroy any of these things. So it's, except for those like gates that you have to destroy, for the most part you can just kind of chill out, stay away from things, and get through it. I didn't really talk about how things do get stronger as the game goes on to kind of like match the assumption that your attack powers have been going up. Here's a place where we often die. We'll see if we can get away with it this time. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So a bit of a tight window there where those fairies are coming in from the back, and the laser eye guy, if you don't get to him in time, will shoot a laser that fills the whole screen, and you can't get past it, like you will take a death on it. From this point on in the game, my attack power actually doesn't matter. We have successfully made it to the last mid-stage boss. You want to align yourself over to just in front of the left edge of the screen to start this cutscene. And, oh no! Who would have thought? We have to fight ourselves. Here comes Anti-Cotton. The music's got a reset for us, and then we're going to just go up and blast her in the face. Just like many of the other bosses in the game, she is weak to magic. That was totally fine. Get yourself over to the right side of the screen as fast as possible to get to the final boss. Time is going to be at the final hit on the final boss, which is going to be 4 of these magics. So here we go. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's time. Another fight that is completely miserable if you don't have magic, but if you happen to get there with 4 magic, you'll just take her out of 4. Or you can use whatever you've got and then burn through a continue immediately and then spam her with the rest of your magic because you'll get more, and so that's part of the routing, and the reason why we go through the whole game with low stock is because the low stock number means that you can reset your continues faster. Trade-off is that, you know, if you bonk into anything along the way, you might, you know, use a continue and don't want to. So that's it. That's Cotton 100%. The second game in the Cotton franchise is kind of like a remake of the first game. It's, I think, considered more like a spin-off than an actual sequel because it's similar to the first game, which was an arcade game. But it's got a lot of unique things going on. The magic is, I'd say, less complicated in this version. Yeah, this is a game that I think more people should play. If you play the Super Nintendo one, it lags more, but also has more complicated enemy behavior. The higher your difficulty, the more the enemies, they start to shoot back at you as your attack levels up. And they also have, like, revenge bullet things that go towards you and screw you up. So it gets really problematic if you play it at the highest difficulty. I think that basically nobody runs Cotton games, and I think that's a shame. I really think that this is a franchise that on the whole people should look into. This one recently got ported to the PS4 and Switch, so you can play it on modern hardware. The TurboGrafx 16 version is the arcade game, and is, if I recall correctly, very hard. Like, extremely hard. The first game is harder than this one. It's not the worst, but it's still tough. Yeah, every version of Cotton that I've played, I've enjoyed to some extent. So there's a weird Genesis one that's kind of like a rail shooter thing, like it's from you're behind Cotton, so you're shooting ahead at the enemies coming towards you, so it's a different perspective. So they've tried different things over the years, and Cotton is kind of a thing that came and went with the 90s. It was kind of like, I don't know, Furbies. So anyway, it's making a resurgence. They recently made a new game, and you should check it out. So that's what I got. I hope you enjoyed Cotton. Probably if we watch the cutscene, she got some candy. Who knows? We're not blessed with that information. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. So take care and enjoy the remainder of the event.